Welcome to wow, I'm not thinking straight tonight. Welcome to this Holy War edition of Saturday's Warrior, coming to you right after the BYU win over Utah, making it 3 in a row. What a win! What a game! Closer than it needed to be, but it was. Man, I hate this game. I hate the week leading up to it. I hate watching it. I'm nervous the entire time, but. It's over, and now it feels very, very good having 3 in a row. So, if you are joining us for the first time, please like this video, subscribe to the channel if you love watching BYU beat Utah for third time in a row. But also join us in the chat. Want to get everyone's thoughts, feelings, kind of talk through the game a little bit, and love to get feedback from everybody else watching the show. What you guys picked up on, what you saw, what went right, what went wrong, and just all your thoughts. So please hop in the chat and we'll go through it. But first of all, I called my final score prediction. I think it was 26-23. I thought it was just going to be a weird score, non-traditional score. It wasn't, but it was close to that in total points, but more traditional score though. But man, got way closer than it needed to be in the half at the end of the game. I questioning that going for it on fourth down there at the end, but already got people hopping in the comments. So let's get to some of those and we'll go through the game, let you guys kind of drive this. So a blind man says, I told my dad yesterday that Utah's penalty issues would come into play. I wish that BYU would have kicked a field goal at the end. Yeah, so I'm curious what I guess, I mean, I knew they'd had, penalties had come into play on some of Utah's games, but I didn't realize that was a perpetual issue with their team. I know Witt was mad about it and complaining about it to the refs, but yeah, I didn't know that was something to expect, and it's certain. And to BYU's credit, because we've had some critical penalties as well. Not nearly as penalized until like right there at the end when got several pass interferences, but. Yeah, pretty wild. But the field goal at the end, yeah, I don't understand that. A 4th and 10, like take the points, punt, kick off, and make Utah have to do a long methodical drive down the field and use up the additional clock and just kind of get things out of reach. It got way too close there at the end. Zach Lake says, Satuala, a hit of the year. And it really was. I mean, we gasped audibly here, and I mean, I was a little bit worried for his health afterwards. He got up and looked okay, a little rattled, but fine. But oh my goodness, that was a hit. That was up there with the El Bakri hit on San Jose State. Like that is a hit that will live in Holy War, just BYU. I was gonna say lure, but just legend forever. What a great hit. So much of their for their best ever offensive line. Yeah, no kidding, because their offensive line was going up against our defensive line, which, I would argue is BYU's weakest position group, and certainly held their own, continued to, for the most part, keep contain on Dampier, and were able to certainly slow this Utah offense down. And that's what I said. Like this is going to be a game where either Utah's offense just doesn't have it and they're not clicking, or they're going to put up a lot of points, which is bad for BYU because BYU's not built to put up tons of points. And so I thought this is going to be a close game, or if Utah could run away with it if their offense is really clicking. But BYU certainly was able to slow them down. Mostly that last drive, though, they kept moving. So give them credit there. 1-2 says, Trevor, do yourself and us a favor and stop doubting this BYU team. BYU played an awesome game. Utah was okay too. Yeah, BYU was awesome in this game. They came out prepared, and I do trust in Jay Hill and what he can do with this defense. I just, I always pick BYU. I always think BYU can win it, but I don't know. In these Holy War games, I'm always, and maybe I'm just protecting myself or something, but always hesitant to go all in. But uh, like believe all the way. Like maybe it's to keep myself from getting crushed, but maybe not anymore. I mean, 3 in a row, and it's been several years. I mean, how many days since Utah's beaten BYU? And it's been a long time. And what's great about extending that streak is not only does it feel good, especially after being on the other end of it for so long, but it just continues to feed that narrative of which school is, the power school, which school is really having success in the state. And it's definitely going to be something that continues to perpetuate that in favor of Utah or BYU over Utah in the state, and really flipping that after, which I feel like they were head and head, neck and neck for a long time. And then Utah goes to the Pac-12, BYU's independent, but no more of that. And it definitely shows. And it's not just basketball, it's football too. So pretty awesome. But let's see here. Locker Cycling says, very impressed with Bachmeier. Not flashy, just executes. He does. He's not perfect by any means. Still, there's certain times that, there's certain plays you'd like to have back, but what quarterback doesn't? The best of the best still have that. And you're right. He's just controlled. He was poised. He just knows how to execute and run the game. And there are sometimes like there's some passes that are not his fault. Like that one to Parker Kingston. We had one like that from Chase last week. Well, he's had a couple, I think, this year. So some of those incompletions really aren't even his fault. There are other plays that are iffy sometimes, but for the most part, he is so solid. And then I want to talk about that touchdown run on that 3rd and 10. He not only was it super, that would have been super impressive in any time, in any circumstance. But I mean, I don't know how many Utah defenders had to touch him, tried to tackle him, and could not bring him down. And he just kept going. And I like it because he wasn't like, oh, I got the first down. This is enough. I'm getting contact, whatever. He just kept pushing through. And, I don't want to see him get hit. I'm really worried about, having gotten a concussion after that targeting. Like he got rocked. But he came back in, and then to have a run like that is just that is nails. Like that is going down in in Holy War legend. Like that is going to be, I think, a highlight we see for a long time of just because of how clutch it was. Again, it was super impressive, but talking about how clutch it was on 3rd down and 10, like if BYU doesn't get that, they probably settle for a field goal. The game's still really close. We saw Utah did go down on another drive and score a touchdown, but this really felt like it was starting to put the game out of reach. It was forcing Utah to have to pass, to have to on long downs too, and have to go for it on 4th down in their own territory. It just changed the complete dynamic of the game. And it was so clutch because I thought we were going to end up settling for a field goal and it was going to be a nail biter. And he just came up so big, so clutch. So love Bear. Fantastic. Chad, bro, kick the field goal at the end. Kalani, my heart, my brother. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know why. It was the same at the end of the first half. Like that one was in the first half, when we went for it on 4th down, that one was a little bit more understandable, but I still would have taken the 3 in this kind of game, and a game that was expected to be kind of a knockout, kind of just punch it out, drag it out kind of a game. You want those points. And we saw what happened to Utah on the other end, not getting those points, and how backbreaking that can be. Is like, take the points. You got Will Ferrin. But there at the end, like, yes, a touchdown, obviously, like, it's sweet because then it starts looking like a blowout. It feels really good. But why? Like, just take the 3, and then it's very difficult on Utah to come back. And instead, we saw Utah come out, score a touchdown, and almost recover an onside kick, which would have made me very nervous. I would not have liked going to overtime in that game. My heart wouldn't be able to handle it. Rob Saunders says Kalani and A-Rod are going to lose us a game trying to be cute. I don't know which point you're talking about there. Maybe there at the end, but also like that at the end of the clock management. Sorry, at the end of the half of the first half was wild to me because it looked like they were trying to obviously you would pass in those circumstances. So I think they were trying to run, which was the not obvious thing in that circumstance with the clock. And they did it twice and with really no plan after that. And then to still settle for the field goal, like I'm glad we got the 3 and it was a benefit. You run down the clock. And so Utah doesn't get a chance to get the ball back. But to risk that on 4th down, I don't know. I think just taking the nearly guaranteed 3 points would have been better than risking that 4th down and getting nothing. So I don't know. Some questionable calls there, but overall, I think really well called game and really well executed plan. And well, actually, I'll get to some other points on that in a minute. Homeslice says a bowl eligibility check, winning season check, beat Utah check, already a successful season. Yeah, I working on a graph. Well, I didn't want to work on it yet, but I kind of had a graphic in mind, but of the same thing. Like those are your first goals of the season. Well, you want to make a bowl game. Obviously, you want to beat your rival, and and now like you said, yeah, it is a winning season. Obviously, BYU is now with Texas Tech's loss, really in the driver's seat in the conference. Now, granted, we still have very, very difficult schedule remaining. So I'm not saying by any means BYU is just going to outright run the conference and win out. It's possible. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but I'm just saying right now they're in the driver's seat, and which is really good, considering how open the Big 12 can be. So, yeah, that's the next goal. Make it to the Big 12 championship game. After that, win that game, make it to the playoff, win a playoff game, and after that. And so all of BYU's goals are still ahead of them, which is awesome. And now it puts Utah rather, in a very tough situation, being tied, or even if they have a tie with BYU at the end in terms of Big 12 conference record, BYU owns the tiebreaker, and it just makes it that much more difficult. Because do we really think Utah will necessarily win out the rest of the season? I can't remember the rest of their schedule. I have to pull it up. And as you can see, I'm not in my normal recording place. I've got kids have a play this weekend. We've got tons of family in from out of town, and people are sleeping in my office. So I am making do here on the couch, but I don't care because BYU won the game. That's all I care about. But yeah, let's see. Utah, they've got Colorado at home, then Cincy at home, then a bye, then they go at Baylor, Kansas State, at Kansas. So actually not the most difficult, very winnable games, but also all of them are losable too. Like K-State is kind of been on a tear of late. Baylor hasn't, but they've got talent, and Kansas kind of the same situation. So I don't know. We'll see, but I don't really want to talk about Utah. So yeah, thanks, Home Slice. Love the comment there. Zach Lake says, we got the dub, but for a while there, I was about to lose my mind over the officiating. Let Utah get away with holding and PI on our receivers and then threw flags all over BYU secondary. Got too close. It was way too close. And I like that, like some of those PI, like whatever, I don't know. But the one in the end zone there seemed like a joke, and he definitely pushed off. Like both of them had their hands up. He pushes off, and then they call PI. It was a bad call. They got the touchdown, whatever. BYU got the W. So I'm not going to complain too much about the officiating now after the fact, but there were some wild calls. Another one, that one where he was straddling the first down, it looked like the ball probably never crossed. Maybe, but I don't think we had a good angle. I think the not being able to overturn it, not indisputable evidence, was probably the right call on that one. But whether he did get the first down or not, but it was so close. But anyway, but speaking of stopping him on 4th down, that sack by Jack Kelly, it looked like they just baiting him because they didn't really do a whole lot of that all game. And, Utah fans kept making fun of BYU all week on Twitter about, oh, we get it, you're going to spy, a big secret or whatever. And then, Jack Kelly just kind of comes in at the end untouched, and just a great play. They hadn't done a lot of that, and I don't think he was expecting in that moment. And that's Jay Hill's magic. He kind of lulled you to sleep and played at the right time. And Jack Kelly coming in huge. I love the guy. Tom Badil says, "Why are we refusing to kick field goals? Very strange." Yeah, you got Will Ferrin. I take the points, especially in a game like this. You want those points. A blind man says, "I think Kalani Sitake would have felt bad to win by double digits." Yeah, that's what I felt like. But the touchdown would have made it look like a blowout. Like had they converted that fourth down, but versus just taking the points, just kind of sealing the deal and making it that much more difficult for Utah to come back because then they'd need two touchdowns. I don't understand it, but yeah, it's like he would have felt bad. I don't know, but still happy for the win. Yeah, thank you. And speaking of feeling bad, I love just Satake. Like normally he's pretty stoic and polite after the game, like we won. He was smiling, he couldn't help it. And then they pan over to Witt, and he just looked pissed. He looked irate, and that is one of my favorite sights is just seeing that ticked off look on his face. Fantastic. Homesly says, I hope we get to hear from the Utah AD again. Oh, I think they've probably have people with him to keep that from happening this year. Rob Saunders says, Kalani and A-Rod are going to lose us a game because they seem stupid at crunch time. When the coaches start panicking, the players are going to start panicking too. Kalani and A-Rod almost lost this. Yeah, I don't understand I'd be interested to hear. I'm sure they'll be asked the question, this week and in press conferences and things, but what happened in those moments. But I don't know if it was panic or what, but it seemed like they were unprepared. It's like you have to know what you're doing in those situations. So I don't get it. I don't know, but hopefully it wasn't panic. 1-2 says Bears touchdown run, 3rd and 10 from the 26-yard line was my play of the game. LJ Martin demoralized Utah defense. Tanner Wall interception, fantastic. Yeah, the Bears touchdown definitely was the play of the game. It was so impressive and so clutch at the right time. LJ, I love because we saw him grinding it out. Like they had more yards, at least at deep into the game, rushing than BYU. But LJ just kept going and going and grinding and wearing them down. And then you saw in that fourth quarter on that drive, like LJ just like everything was working. Also after oh shoot, what's his bucket from Utah was interjected for the targeting. You saw them keep going to his side of the field at least for 2 or 3 plays there and picking up big gains. So they knew what they were doing there. And then in terms of that interception, yeah, it was just so clutch, so key, and something we come to expect from this BYU team. Not as much against Utah, but just in general, and coming up big. And almost had that other interception. I mean, the BYU was there first, and then it just got torn out of his hands. That also would have, I mean, the stadium would have just probably collapsed from all the cheering at that point. But anyway, so I mean, great play there from the receiver. But Spencer says, I don't have a horse in the race. Who is your team? Let us know. Coaching was bad on both sides. BYU before the half kick at field goal and at the end, and Utah should have kicked 2 field goals in the red zone. It got stopped in the red zone twice on 4th down. That's so good. So good. And if you count those as turnovers, and actually I don't have my multiple screens, so I don't have all the stats in front of me. What was the turnover battle? But like, yeah, both teams got stopped on 4th down, but if you count those as turnovers, then I mean BYU had several. So where, it's going to take me too long. So let's move on. But yeah, definitely some questionable calls there. I think both teams trying to do too much in the rivalry game. Spencer Duncan, as opposed to Spencer, who does not have a horse in the race, is a BYU fan, says BYU had fewer yards and an atrocious 3rd down conversion rate, but they stayed disciplined. They didn't have turnovers. They avoided penalties until the final drive. BYU made it happen. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree that how they handled the end of the first half and not kicking that field goal at the end were very questionable calls. But for the most part, like this team came ready and understanding the game plan and knowing what they wanted to do and executed. And for the most part, I don't think the team tried to do too much. They didn't try to force too much. There was a couple moments with Bear, but I mean, he had a lot of pressure on him. I mean, I think the Utah defense is really good. They have a lot of really good players, and he was getting a lot of pressure on him. I think more, at least it felt like more than he'd seen in other games, and still executed. And yeah, Keanu Tanavasa did not get a stupid penalty this week. Had another one that almost was. In fact, it felt like the PI call that came right after that. There was was probably a late hit. They didn't call it on BYU, and then there was that PI, which I think that came afterwards. I think it was the very next play. Felt like it was a makeup call for that, but yeah, absolutely right. BYU came to play. Scott Frank, take the points. Seems like we're all in agreement here. All right. Jepson says, time for Kyle to retire. We will see. It really feels like Kyle ain't it anymore. Wit ain't it. Maybe we make that a phrase. Sir Robin says, 4th and 5 was a complete head scratcher. Yeah. So again, yeah, I think we all agree on that one. Spencer says bowl game doesn't mean this is a BYU show. Crap for any team. Need to eliminate bowl games and go to a larger playoff. Yeah, I mean, you're right. There's so many bowl games anymore, but that's kind of the baseline goal is getting to a bowl game. So I think it still means something, but you're right. It doesn't mean nearly what it used to mean. It's yeah. I mean, if you end up going to, what are all these bowls anymore? I don't even know. They're all just branded anyway. They don't mean anything. So yeah, it's getting to the playoff. I don't think we need larger, maybe 16. So then you don't have buys. I'd be okay with that, but not larger than that. Like it's big enough. You start breaking into the regular season. It's already hard enough to fit in all the games. And the regular season has to mean something. You've already letting in so many teams. I don't see a need to go to a bigger playoff, but that's a topic for another day. I've done several videos on those. I'll do some more, but appreciate your feedback on that. 1-2 says only 6 unbeaten teams left, including BYU. Rare air. By the way, the Air Bear hurdle was Holy War Forever highlight. Yes, that was he had several Holy War Forever highlights, and that was one of them. I do not love seeing my quarterback go into the air like that, but man, well, generally, obviously Taysom Hill did it, and Bear has it too, I guess. Not quite the same level of athleticism as Taysom's, but man, it was so clutch, and the guy just whiffed, and it was a really nice play, really really great. A little precursor for what we'd see later in the game with how hard he was to take down. Spencer says officiating was bad on both sides. It's hard to call a rivalry game. Yeah, like most games have some that are questionable and don't want to come away, especially winning, that either, there's always going to be calls that you're going to be upset about. And fortunately, BYU came away with the win on this one. So I'm not going to focus too much on that, but let's see. VPWB, go Cougs. Thanks for joining. Yeah, what a win. 3 in a row. Like I feel so relieved. Like almost anything else can happen. Well, no, that's not true. Like if we lost out, I would still be very disappointed. But I mean, yeah, this was just a big one that I was dreading. So what a win. All right. Christopher Williams says, sorry, just joined, but have we given a gold star to LJ yet? Yeah, LJ was so good. And how many, because he was floating right around like in the 80-yard range for a while. And then that there late in the fourth quarter on that drive when he was just racking up yards. And then he ended up with 122, averaging 4.7. And it's crazy because that's an impressive number, but he had plays where he lost yards, and he had plays where he was getting tackled at the point of just like right at the line of scrimmage, and to still rack up those kinds of numbers. He's having an excellent season. I'm pretty sure he's over 100, averaging over 100 a game this season. So if we look at the total, let's see, I'm pretty sure he was well over 600 before. Yeah, so before this game, he was at 652, and then so you throw this game on as well. So yeah, what a season he's having. Um, Hopefully we can keep him healthy and keep that rolling. Jeff Fuller. Hey, Jeff, thanks for joining the show, man. Let me know. We'll have to come on and join me on here. I'll send you the link. Go Cougs. Amazing, gritty team win. Love this team. 18-2 over the last 20. Absolutely. Uh, it's really impressive to see what BYU's done and to sustain it over 2 seasons and hopefully, for more to come, especially after that weird 2023 season where things just kind of took a turn for the worse, and to see what they've done and just continued to build, it's been really awesome. Zach Lake says Bears Hurdle turn that into a t-shirt. Yes, yes. I'm sure somebody's already working on it, and if not, I'll have to. Let's see. Spencer says Utah State, don't hate. Hey, I don't hate. In fact, I love your head coach. So good, go Aggies. I've got no ill will there, other than Taysom always getting injured. The alternative hypothesis, that end game play calling was really bad. I think the coaches should have just played normally at the end. Let me know what play calls in particular. It does seem like BYU maybe wasn't trying as hard to score, but then still went for it on 4th and 10. I don't know. I just question the call not to kick that field goal, but play out the clock, run it down, grind out the win, and shorten the game and kick the field goal. Just I don't know. Anyway, Car Wash Channel says rigged again. Mm, not not sure what you mean, but I think BYU came out and made that happen. Uh, DB Cougar says 3 is a streak. Go Cougs. Yeah, it's officially a streak. People are saying a 2-game win streak. I don't really count 2 as a streak, but yeah, 3 absolutely is a streak. It is official, and Utah is no longer, because they win this one, then you say, okay, you had 2, but we're still in there, we're even, whatever. BYU has this and owns the state of Utah and is up there in the upper echelon of the Big 12. So uh, Bear goes beast mode. Yeah, he truly did that. I'll keep talking about that touchdown run. It was one of my favorite touchdowns all season, if not my absolute number one favorite touchdown of the season. It was one for the ages. Matt Nichols says bowl games help maintain the financials of college football. Yeah, I get that, but there's just way too many, and everybody gets a bowl game. It's just, it's like the Oprah Winfrey, you get a car, everyone gets a bowl game, and it feels meaningless. And the bowl games used to be fun too, because that's when you would get these interesting matchups you wouldn't normally see. But now with the conferences the way they are, it's just, I don't know. It's kind of less exciting because they've all mixed up. Anyway, I don't know. They are important. I understand that it's great. I think it's great for the students, athletes, to go get that extra game, to have that trip and everything. So I think it's good for them. But just going to like Shreveport again or something would not be enough. I think BYU's got to have higher aspirations than just making a bowl game. For me, I think that's kind of the baseline goal for any team, is to, hey, we got to at least get bowl eligible and build from there. Matt Nichols says, I vote no buys. The whole point of a playoff is to play. Oh yeah, so if you extend to 16, yeah, I'm okay with that. And that would be like my main reason, not because I think we need more teams, because no matter how many teams, somebody's always going to get left out. Somebody's always going to have a gripe with saying, hey, we were just as good as that team or whatever. I think enough teams are in. It's also not saying, oh, well, this team didn't get in, but they're better than this team, or they beat that team, so they have a potential to win. That's fine, but the regular season has to mean something. You're not always saying, hey, who are all the teams that could win, or who could do things or did some deserving things. The regular season has to mean something, and some good teams, some teams that could easily be in the playoff, just don't make it, and that goes to the regular season. You have to win, you have to qualify, and so that's where my issue of is expanding too much. But if you go to 16, then there's no buys. I'm okay with that, but it's most likely just going to be more SEC and Big Ten teams anyway, which means they get more revenue, which means and more bites at the apple to get into the championship. So I don't know if it really helps the Big 12 so much, unless Big 12 is getting an extra team or two in there, then perhaps. But just in terms of taking biases out of it and what makes more sense. Yeah, not having the buys, although the teams with the buys didn't really advantage this last year. But then you also have to argue, well, then what's the incentive to get that buy if it's not going to be an advantage? And so you want to make sure those teams that have earned those upper seats have an advantage. And it could just be coincidence. It's a small sample size, but a big talking point by people. Anyway, let's get back to BYU beating Utah. Has anyone heard that? It's 3 in a row. A blind man says the Tech loss gives BYU some wiggle room now. Oh yeah, absolutely. BYU is technically in the driver's seat, just with a really tough road ahead. But yeah, it definitely does. And with them playing head to head, I mean that's going to control things, of course. Yeah, because I don't know if Tech is really going to lose another game this season. I mean, even here, Jerem Jordan was saying, Tech is not going to go undefeated. They'll lose some game this season. He just didn't think it was going to be ASU. But you look at Oklahoma State, no. At Kansas State, probably not. BYU, maybe. We'll see. I think BYU could do it. I think BYU could go in there and beat Texas Tech, especially coming off a bye. UCF, probably not. West Virginia, probably not. So looking at it, I mean, it would be hilarious. It would be terrible for the conference. But if Oklahoma State, who I believe does have one more win in them, beat Texas Tech, but I don't see that happening. Yeah, I mean, BYU's got to go into Lubbock and beat them. And if that's the case, BYU will be definitely in the driver's seat for the Big 12 conference. But all right, tons of comments. So I'm going to try to move through these a little more quickly. Sorry. We know who you are. I was a little slow on that one. Gotcha. BYU's team won in spite of their terrible coaching. Someone has to not make the stupid decisions when game on the line. Probably why they will just be good and not win a championship. I mean, there was those situations we talked about, but I don't think overall it was a terribly called game. I think they did a really good job with this offense, but any opportunities like that being wasted and squandered really could be the difference between, especially against these really good teams. You can't have those mistakes. So yeah, if BYU wants to win championships, yeah, it has to move, be able to avoid those kinds of mistakes, just like you avoid turnovers. Those are the types of things that break your back. But let's see. 1-2 says, with several teams ahead of BYU in the AP poll losing today, BYU could move up to number 12 or maybe even better, will be ahead of Texas Tech. Oof. I mean, for the sake of the conference, I hope Tech doesn't drop that far. But yeah, probably because it's the Big 12, not really getting the benefit of the doubt. Although ASU is a good team. The voters have had ASU ranked as recently as last week until they lost to Utah. But if they know that Levitt wasn't in, they may grade it on a curve and say, hey, now they just beat Tech. We could see ASU back in the top 25 this week. We'll see. Or Tech just drops really far and ASU stays not ranked, which is not great for the conference. But as much as I want to see Big 12 succeed, BYU having success is more important to me. So yeah, that's not great. Yeah, BYU will move up some. I mean, some of the losses were also top 25 matchups. So we could see other teams moving up with them. I'd have to go through and look, like, what was Vandy ranked? I think they were behind BYU, but that was a bigger win because LSU was ahead. So I could see Vandy moving up. Maybe LSU drops behind BYU, so that's a wash, or maybe they stay in front of BYU. Who knows? But Utah being ranked was really good. Oh, that's bad for the conference. Utah is probably going to drop out now, even though it was a close match against a team that was ranked higher than them. But that's the logic of the AP poll. Don't get me started on that. Losing for life. Why don't Satake not kick the field goal to go up 27-14? I don't know. I mean, had it worked and they were in the 30s, like, we would have all been loving it, and then that would have definitely helped BYU in the rankings, really having a shellacking. Still beating Utah in a tough rivalry game, still going to help. So let's see. You corrected grammar there. Didn't. It's cool. We knew what you meant. Losing for life. And again says BYU now owns recruiting in the state. Yep, that's what I've been saying. Like I feel like it's already been going that way, but this just helps solidify it for that next generation of kids that are coming up. No longer going to look at Utah and be like, hey, I wanted to go to BYU, but now I'm Utah because that's where you can have success. Now you're going to see like this BYU is where you have success. Matthew says, we will get you guys next year. I sure hope not, but I appreciate you coming on the show, man. I don't know. I hate these games. But I'm not focused on next year yet. So, but Holy War is a great game, but it's also a terrible game. So, Matthew says, in our home, but good win. Yeah, it was a good one. It was a good game. Glad it was a little less stressful than last year. So that is good. But I just hope things cool down on Twitter and everything a little bit now that the game is behind us. Hate all the stuff that goes on there. Some of it's funny and good natured, but a lot of it's so stupid. Let's see. 1-2 says, and I just move off my screen. Here we go. ESPN is now projecting BYU number 11 in the CFP. Anything can happen, but enjoy the potential respect. That's awesome. I mean, I love the projections. I love, being ranked higher in the AP because I think the AP has a big influence on the college football playoff committee and where we're going to be ranked. But I just think the AP is stupid and the logic behind it is dumb. But yeah, the more success BYU can have, the more they can move up. Obviously, I want that. And obviously, at the end of the day, it's going to be what the committee says and where they rank us. And being ranked higher in the AP matters. So now BYU just continues to control their own destiny. Got a big one next week. Can't be too high off of this one, and really got to be focused because going to Ames to play Iowa State is not going to be easy. Let's see. Christopher Williams says, with Texas Tech losing to Arizona State, that puts Cincy and BYU at the top of the Big 12. It sure does, and that is another team we haven't talked about enough tonight. Is Cincy is on the schedule and they're looking good right now. Now, how good? I don't know, but certainly good enough that they could beat BYU, especially at home. We will see. I mean, that is another team that BYU has to, be aware of that they'll have to beat most likely if they want to get into the Big 12 championship game. So let's see here. Losing for Life says, the time management at the end of the first half was horrible. Absolutely. Completely agree. Even Bear called out the coaches for calling running plays. I didn't see that. Did he? Or was it something on the sideline, or was he doing something? I mean, he looked flabbergasted, and he went up. I don't know if he just decided to spike the ball or if he was getting something from the side. I mean, he may have gotten the audio, although they cut it off at some point in his ear set, or he might have just seen the time and said, hey, I've got to do this because I mean, I couldn't see the sidelines. I don't know. But if he did that just on his own, I really like that. But it shouldn't have been in that position anyway. So, yeah, that was terrible. Tom Davis, does Witt leave after this year? That is a question. A lot of people thought he was going last year. A lot of people thought he just wanted to beat BYU. I mean, if they go on to still have a really successful season, like if somehow Utah wins the conference, goes to the playoff or whatever, is that still enough to say, hey, we went out on a pretty high note? I would think it's got to be time. I was listening to, it might have been the Give 'em Hell Brigham podcast, but they're just talking about every year that Witt delays, they're costing Morgan Scally more money because it's that much longer before he gets, theoretically re-upped for his next contract where he'll start making the big time bucks. And, the to start that clock running on building up the head coaching type salary. And so every year Witt stays is kind of delaying those bigger paydays for Scallions, thinking how much money has he left on the table. So, and yeah, if they don't win the conference, losing to BYU, and people are going to be tired of that and say, hey, you know what, maybe it's time, which is crazy because he's obviously a Utah legend. The success that they've had under him, the things that they've accomplished, the amount of time he's been there, just establishing that culture. But it's just weird how at a certain point, coaches just kind of start losing. Like you just see that some choose to step away, like Saban still had it, but you see other coaches like Dabo just not being able to keep up with, and some of that's the changing landscape with NIL and stuff. But coaches just after a certain point just kind of lose it. I don't know if it's old age or if it's just a different generation of kids or if the game is changing. It doesn't. I can't really pinpoint it. Don't know, but that's beside the fact. Yeah, does he still retire? Is a good question. And honestly, maybe BYU. Maybe it's better for BYU if he stays. Maybe it's better if he leaves. I don't know. We won't really know until it does happen. But like I said, my favorite side is his face at the end of a game after losing to BYU. It's the best. He looked ticked tonight. So I love that. So him retiring would probably be good for the Holy War. Maybe not be as insane, although not that Scally's necessarily going to be any different. But uh, yeah, seeing his face at the end of the game is definitely good for me. 1-2 says you could lip read Bear saying call a pass and shaking his head. Oh, I missed that. Maybe I was too busy. Occasionally I'd have to do nervous push-ups during the game because I had to burn off some of the nervous energy. So I could have been missing it at some point, but that's funny. I'll have to go back and watch. Um, 1-2 says, guess what? BYU is really good. They are really good, and they don't win. And we knew this from last year, right? They don't win in the way that a lot of teams usually win, but they have a game plan and they execute it, and they know what they need to do to win, and it works. Like, it's proven, it's worked. And the thing is, we question some of the game calling, but it worked last year. And like the time management, it worked last week against Arizona, and they wore out the clock, ended in a field goal. We're like, come on, we need 2 scores. What are we doing? And it ended up working. Why was that? Because defense came through, special teams came through, and then ultimately offense came through, and that got us to overtime. So yeah, I still question the play calling, not taking the field goals, and the plays that were called at the end of this game. But I'm just saying we were all questioning that time management at the end of the Arizona game, and it worked out. So um, I don't know, but BYU is really good. 1-2. No more talk of who has BYU played. Yeah, you can't anymore. We kept saying, okay, yeah, early in the season, you can't do that anymore. Well, one, a lot of that was from Utah, so they can't say that anymore because we played them, we beat them, and uh, but also, yeah, just in general, like that is a ranked win. Like Utah is a good team, and I think these other teams, like Arizona, lost today. I still think Arizona is a quality team. Now, what their final record will be at the end of the season, I don't know, but I think they are a solid team. They're a good win. Colorado, uh, they're kind of hot and cold, whatever. They're still a good win. Like we have good wins. We don't have until tonight. Haven't had like a really excellent win, but no, I I think BYU is really good, and the best part is that going forward, it's just going to get tougher and tougher, and BYU is going to be able to continue to have chances to silence the critics and just prove who they are. But they've got to do it. So um, let's see. Russell Trappier. Hopefully I got that right. Sorry, man. Says Witt said he couldn't leave last year on a losing record. Oh, I heard people speculating. I didn't know that he actually came right out and said that. I think he's out after this year. Yeah, I think they'll still end with a pretty solid season. Probably go to a pretty decent bowl game. So um, that's a decent way to go out. Yeah, last year would have been pretty bad way to go out, but you don't want to stay so long too that you wear your welcome, then you become Gundy at Oklahoma State, which I'm not saying Utah's at that point, but um, 1-2 says just rewatch the Bear 26-yard touchdown. Oh, I just want to get off the show so I can just go rewatch that touchdown over and over. And he hurdled the defender on that play too. Amazing. Oh, okay. Fantastic. I'm gonna just rewatch that several times tonight. Greg says all the easy games are over. BYU better play better. Yeah, I would say overall BYU played a pretty good game tonight. Like there aren't too many moments that I'm like coming away with like just like complete head scratching moments other outside of the play calling, right? But like the players, um, and then if you just call clock management a little bit better, and sometimes just take points when they're there. I really like what this team can do going forward. Iowa State, we've been saying this since the preseason. It felt like this was a team that would be BYU could match up well with, but because of where it's placed on the schedule, makes the game that much tougher. Well, one, it's at Ames, and then it's also immediately after the Holy War game. We saw both teams come out flat last year after it. And so that's what worries me. Can this team regroup? They had a good win. This one didn't feel as emotionally draining as the one last year because I think you get up a little bit earlier late. You start wearing down Utah, and LJ's just starts having his way. And, it did get closer than it needed to at the end, but it's just less emotionally draining. Like, I felt so weird after the game last year. It was amazing, amazing win, but I also just exhausted physically from the anxiety, I think, from that game. So this one, I think, will hopefully be easier for the team to bounce back from, regroup from, and not come out flat next week. But we'll see, because Ames isn't an easy place to play, but it is a team that is beatable. And we know that they've had some health issues in the secondary. Is this a game where Bear can, we can pass a little bit more, especially if you can get LJ going a little bit and really suck in some defenders that maybe we can have a really good game for our receivers and put up some points. So we'll see, but that's where I'm thinking first. And then, fortunately got a bye week. You can regroup, hopefully let LJ, some of these other guys, or not LJ, sorry. Well, LJ, I'm sure his body's taking a beating, but Jack Kelly and some of these other guys heal up a little bit more and go for the biggest test of the season. So against Texas Tech, that is. All right. Brandon Whitbeck says, I think BYU will get the respect they deserve now. I don't know. I mean, it's weird because I feel like ESPN's metrics have liked BYU all season. Yeah, they didn't start out ranked and they've moved up. I think they're probably ranked right now about what seems reasonably fair. About as fair also as we can kind of expect. So I think things are riding out. And again, if BYU keeps winning, then it won't matter. But yeah, I mean, people have to be impressed. Now, how many people watch this game? Hopefully a lot, because it was on a little bit earlier. It was on Fox. Hopefully it got all those East Coast voters thought they'd stay up and watch an interesting matchup. There was I think overtime with Mizzou. Maybe some people changed the channel, but yeah, BYU is definitely going to be on people's radars now, and I think they will. Now, just how high they move up, I don't know. I think 12 or 11 seems realistic for this season, this week. Wouldn't be surprised if they're only at 13. I don't know. We'll see. I think I think 12 sounds about right. Shout out to LJ for those blocks too. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Even when he's not getting the rock, he is going in there and he's still taking contact on a lot of plays. So fortunately, he's a big dude. He looks like he's buffed up a lot in this offseason. He's taking hits. He's delivering blows too. So hopefully he does not get injured this season. But yeah, he's great player. Brandon also says they were the underdogs, though. They were the underdogs. In terms of being disrespected. Yeah, and you know what? I'm okay with that. I don't care. Easy money for any of you that do want to put money on that. I think it's easy money, and I like that. I like. Uh, I like it when BYU can have that chip on their shoulder. I don't know. It doesn't mean anything to me. Yeah, it shows that Vegas didn't believe in them, but the AP had them ranked higher. The panel picked was it Fox? I don't know. I didn't watch. I had a crazy day. Anyway, it looked like the panels on the noon shows, on the kickoff shows, whatever. ESPN and Fox were picking BYU, so I think they're getting respect they deserve. 1-2 says LJ blocks were huge, especially given the Utah defense was best BYU faced in so far. Yeah, and the defense was good. Like you could tell there were moments that, I mean, they were getting to Bear fast on certain plays, and there were other plays that they just had read and stood up LJ right away. And so for LJ to still do what he did uh, is very impressive. I think he had a great game. And whereas the receivers did just enough, I have to wonder, do they not passing more? Obviously, our run game is the strength of this team, and you want to control the clock. But are they not trusting Bear to throw it more? Are they just picking their spots? I mean, I know this is what A-Rod wants to do. He wants to run to set up the pass, but I just thought there might be a few more passes. But when it goes, it goes. Like outside of these drop passes, he made some great plays, and they were great, well timed, well called, and really helped change the momentum. It's funny because on that touchdown, and my brother-in-law here with me, lots of family in town. Like I said, that's why I'm down here on the couch. And I was telling him, I was like, watch BYU just bleed out 6-7 minutes and score a touchdown here. Instead, they scored in like, I think under 2 minutes or something of time. It was not what I was expecting. So every now and then they can turn on the gas and they could pass and move down the field quickly. So that was totally off on a tangent of what you were saying, but I'm kind of at that point in the night, and just any remaining thoughts in my head from the game we haven't covered yet. That Bamba open field 4th down stop was incredible. Yeah. There were several very good defensive plays in that one, and Bamba has really been coming up big, I feel like, the last couple games. So love that. All right. Siope Teumohenga. Hopefully I was close on that one. Apologize. Utah beat ASU, who beat Texas Tech, top 10. Hey, if you want to play it that way, great. Let's see. Yeah, the logic holds. So we'll see this week. I don't think I have to look here. Let me pull it up. Let's see. Top 25. Let's looking at it. Oh yeah, Miami had that loss too to Louisville, but they're not dropping out of the top 10. But Louisville moves up, which is bad. Keep spots from Big Ten teams, but Nebraska lost, so that's good. Maybe ACU can come back in. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm going through all this. Yeah, A&M. I was hoping Arkansas could pull that off. Ole Miss lost. It's a top 10 matchup. They shouldn't drop much. They'll move Georgia ahead of them, but let's see. Alabama beat Tennessee. So Tennessee will be behind BYU probably, even though it was a top, losing to top 6 team. Let's see. Tech, they'll probably drop Tech behind BYU, I bet. Let's see. LSU, I could see it going either way. LSU still being ahead. I bet Vandy jumps BYU, and LSU probably falls behind them. Feels right. USC dropping out of the top 25. Man, Notre Dame, this was like their one tough game left on their schedule, and they won it. I was really hoping they'd lose because they don't play anybody the rest of the season. We'll probably win out and get the benefit of the doubt because it's Notre Dame. And then Mizzou, that went to double overtime, win over Auburn. Probably won't move past BYU. UVA pulled it out against Wazoo. Some of these scores I'm just now seeing. I've been locked into this. South Florida won. Texas got by Kentucky. Darn it. And then Memphis lost. That's good for the Big 12, I guess. And really good for Jake Retzlaff at Tulane, and even ECU, who's kind of out of it, but still a win for. Anyway, they're on BYU schedule. I'm not really at this point rooting for ECU. Doesn't make too much sense. So anyway, I wanted to look at that. Yeah, they could. I don't think BYU's top 10 yet this week. Brandon Whitbeck says, "Who do you think is our hardest opponent upcoming?" I mean, you could argue, well, which quarterback is going to be playing for Texas Tech? You could say that, but Hammond, I think, is still good. But yeah, it looks like they're much more beatable, except when he plays Utah. He looks fantastic. But yeah, they look more beatable with him. But that's several weeks away. I wouldn't be surprised if what's his bucket is back. Iowa State, again, it's just the placement on the schedule where that's tough. Otherwise, I do think that is a team that I would like BYU in, and I do think they should win that game. Texas Tech, you're feeling a little bit better. They're looking a little bit more vulnerable. TCU's coming. Cincy at Cincy, that one could. I'm not saying it's the toughest. I still think it's Texas Tech in Lubbock, but no tortillas on the field, which, as dumb as it is, that might. We'll see how that goes. Tech fans are, man, out on the Big 12 right now. They are not happy about that, and I do think it's kind of dumb. Like, the rule makes sense, but as long as it was just tortillas, which I guess you can't control, it's fun. Like, that's what college sports is all about, or weird traditions like that. So anyway, I do think Cincy can be a tough game. Now, they're not sneaking up on BYU anymore, but having TCU at home, like, TCU is still good, and they, for some reason, have our number. I do expect BYU to win that game, but then you could be tough, and then you got to go to Cincinnati. Could be another tough one on the schedule. So, and then there's UCF at home. We'll see what they're playing for at that point in the season. Coming from warm weather to cold weather, don't expect that one to be as tough. But yeah, I still think it's Texas Tech. I don't think there's any question. I think that's still the deepest and most complete team. They had a backup quarterback, though. Or was you talking? Oh, beating Texas Tech. Yeah. And I think voters hopefully take that into account. I would actually like to see, as good as it is to see BYU move up in the rankings, I'd like to see Tech not drop very far for that. ASU is a good team. Playing your backup, hopefully not too much, but I bet Tech's out of the top 10. So I don't know. I guess we'll find out soon, but that is a bummer for the conference. You want our best teams to keep winning out, and ASU already lost one, so you want to see them lose and let our ranked teams, like, it would have been best outside of when they played BYU, for the 4 ranked teams to continue. That's the thing, is they're all on BYU's schedule, but to continue to win out, except for when they play BYU, and just to help the conference keep at least 4 top 25 teams at any point. And that's what I think we really need right now. The best bet of getting 2 teams into the playoff is BYU and Texas Tech. That could change since he could keep winning. If they win out, obviously they have a chance at it. So, yeah, I don't know. There's still a lot there, but 5 games left, 5 tough games, but very, very, still very doable. Still everything ahead of BYU. Oh, they had a backup quarterback. Oh, ASU had a backup quarterback. Yeah. So, I mean, all these games have caveats. Would Utah have won that game if Levitt had played? I don't want to give Levitt that much credit, but it felt like one of those games where, because the offense was not getting any momentum, it allowed, their defense was put in a tough spot. And like I said, Utah's offense, when it gets rolling, I think it really gets rolling, which is why I love that this game became just kind of a rock fight and pounded out, because I think that favored BYU. Obviously, it did. BYU won. Whereas if it became a shootout, that advantages Utah. And so I hate to give Levitt that much credit, but it would have been a different game for sure. But he doesn't play defense. The defense couldn't slow down Utah. And had it become a shootout, would ASU been able to win that? I don't know. I know they've put up a fair amount of points, but I don't think they've been like crazy score this season. I have to pull that up. So anyway, good point. Good question. Let's see. Any other moments? Let me know if I've missed any other major moments from this game. Now, I've been talking for a while. Let's see. We're just about at an hour. So get any more major moments that we've missed that I haven't talked about yet tonight, or just that you want to call out. I'm trying to rack my brain here real quick. I'm still just thinking about that Bear touchdown run, but Parker Kingston, again, coming up clutch, and not tons of moments, not tons of touches, but he's done really well. There was that obvious that miscatch, but outside of that, he's just been really good the last few weeks and completely changed my perception of him. So way to go. And obviously Chase Roberts, and I love all those yards after the catch. He has burners. He can unhitch the trailer. Let's see. 1-2 agrees. Parker Kingston's speed run for touchdown was great. Yeah, I wish we'd stop having him pass it, because it seems like it just has not been taking. Teams are ready for it, and it's just has not been going. Although what I do want to say is that pass, it was a tough pass, but it was well guarded. The defender was all over him, but also he threw it where the defender could not get it. So that was the good thing about the pass. And he was in a bad position. Like he had nowhere to go. That was like getting rid of the ball. Whereas it was basically either we caught it or it was incomplete. There's nothing else with where that ball went. So it was actually based on how that play went. It was a pretty good decision. So I like that from him. But yeah, really impressed with Parker lately. And Brandon Whitebeck says, here, my contacts are all sticking to my eye now. Let's look at these mini emojis. Bear, just a bunch of bears, I think. Although technically a panda is not a bear. But yeah, bear all the way. I love bear. I, I love how quickly he's just been embraced completely by BYU. Obviously, your quarterback, you're always going to love your quarterback, but it was even in the preseason and fall camp that he was. Everyone's just so excited. Bear, like this is the future, and it's awesome. Like this is the future of BYU football for the next couple of years. Like I don't see him transferring anywhere. I wouldn't see why. You're having success. This team, brought in Bear. They're doing great things, and I'm sure they'll make sure that he's getting paid. So I don't know. It's really exciting to think about what Bear can continue to do as he continues to grow, and we're watching it unfold in front of our eyes. That he just keeps going. He's just really seems unflappable and just so in control, and he's just going to keep getting better. Okay, 1-2 says targeting on Bear looked horrible. Glad he seemed to shake it off. Yeah, honestly, I can't believe he was back in for that next play, even after that long review. Like, did anybody know if he got checked out for concussion protocol on the sidelines? If they went through it quickly, it seems like that wasn't enough time. Can't believe he was let back in the game because not only did his head just get completely rocked, he hit again, obviously on the way down on the ground, and it did not look good. And I mean, he came in and kept playing and played really well. So I don't know. You have to assume he's healthy, but make sure he gets checked out. That I am worried about that. Hopefully, there's no lasting damage, no concussion there for him. But yeah, I think that's it. We'll have more for you on Monday. Adam will be back with us then. He couldn't make it tonight. Wussed out on us. Watched the game, but ran a marathon something today, so we'll cut him some slack. But we'll be back on Monday. Talk about any other thoughts on the game. Get Adam's breakdown. We'll also do our power rankings. We'll do our picks for the next week. So make sure you like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Join us. We do this after every game. We do these what I call Saturdays Night Live, where we come on and we review after the game, win or lose, rain or shine, or rain or snow. And Mondays we'll kind of look ahead to the next week, do the picks, like I said, and then also I've been getting on guests from other shows from the opposing fan base to come give us that perspective each week. And so make sure you come on. We'll keep doing this throughout the rest of the season. Appreciate everybody hopping in the chat tonight, keeping the conversation going. I love all the feedback, love all the conversation. And most of all, I love that BYU won the game. Let's see. I've got a couple more comments here. We'll read through. 1-2 says that Utah fumble forward to another Utah player was a crazy fluke. That really was a crazy fluke. They're saying they think he did intentionally. I don't think so. There's no way. He wasn't close enough to the sideline to hope that went out, because that could have easily been recovered if a player hadn't been there. And there's no way he could have known that other player was there ready to catch that. If he did do that intentionally, like, a lot of props to him, but I think it was just a fluky thing, and those things happen sometimes, especially in rivalry games. It felt like if you that we'd always be talking about, but Utah lost, so I think it's one that'll be forgotten about. Let's see here. Let's see if my video back. Sorry about that. Brandon Whiteback says, I'm getting a BYU tattoo on my head soon. If they were to win the national championship, I think I would probably get a tattoo. But I don't think that's a tattoo that I'm going to have to worry about getting. I love BYU. I think BYU is going to do great things this season. I'm not quite ready to say they're going to win the Natty yet. But on your head, that is a choice. That is a choice. That is not one that I would make Um, that is not the same place I would probably find somewhere very hidden, but you do you. When you get that, please send us pictures, and we'll make sure to put it on here. Maybe 47 in it. LOL. In the BYU tattoo, put the number 47 in there. Hey, you know, you might want to wait until it's always dangerous to do things like that. People always have a way of coming back and having skeletons in their closet. So, you want to wait till they're dead and then a long time has passed. And even then things come up. So, I mean, that's a choice. I'm with you. At this point, we could probably overlook a lot of things on Bear after what he's done so far this season and tonight. So, I'm all for it. I just want to see it. If you do it, that's fine. Just let us all know. Let us be part of that. Stephen Alma Stansfield says, go for the forehead. Yeah, Brandon, right on the forehead. That's great. Right in the middle. Love it. I love that for you. And mostly I love it for all of us when you send us the pictures. So please do. 1-2 says BYU freshman of the week or player of the week. Uh, ooh, definitely it's got to be freshman of the week, but player of the week, that is a call. I don't know. I mean, LJ is kind of in the running for that too, but I don't think the game happens with. Oh, I don't know. That is tough. But one of my favorite trash talks from this week was about Dampier. They said, if Dampier's so great, why hasn't he won freshman of the week this year so far? Obviously, he's not a freshman and not eligible, but I just thought that was a fun trash talk there. Let's see. Or the neck. Now you got to go for the forehead. You already said head. Neck is not the head. So he's committed. We got to see what the head says. He says, what will my bishop say? You know what? It's not in the for strength of youth. They haven't said that anymore. There's a lot of things. You get all the piercings you want, do tattoos, whatever. It's really between you and, and you've got to make that decision. So I don't think they keep you out of the temple. You'll probably get some weird looks if that's the case. But now that the prophet has been dressed up as Cosmo before, president of BYU, maybe it's allowed now. I don't know, but I'm really excited for you. The and excited to have that to show. So please do send us the pictures, and we will all love it. We'll all be behind you. Maybe get Bear on there too somehow. You said number 47, but I feel like we go bigger than that. So I don't know. Maybe multiple tattoos if BYU keeps winning. Maybe a new one for each win for the season. So anyway, I am obviously delirious. It's almost 1 a.m. here, so I've been talking over an hour. So I really do appreciate everyone being in the chat. Please do come back Monday. Get in the chat some more. We go live then. I know Monday Night Football's on, but who cares about the NFL? We're all about BYU here, and join in as we talk power rankings, make picks, all that stuff. You can be part of all that, and come back and tell us how many times you watched that Bear touchdown. And thank you for watching. And as always, go Cougs. Oh, wait, no, wrong way. Wrong one. There we go. Go Cougs.